Well, welcome back to another episode of the USADA Pitch. I'm your host, Avery Walker, and I am excited to bring you a very special guest today, Philip Dunn, who is actually the chair of USADA's board of directors. Philip is a three-time Olympian in race walking and served on the USADA board for a number of years before becoming chair. So he has a really valuable perspective on clean sport. Thanks for being here, Philip.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm really excited to participate. This is going to be great.
Awesome. So Philip is joining us today because it's also a special month. USADA has been officially operating for 20 years as of October 1st. And today we're going to get Philip's insights on the key milestones over that time, as well as opportunities for the future. So Philip, when you think back on your experience as an athlete and now as a board member, why is 20 years of USADA operations significant?
Oh, wow. Yeah, 20 years. When I first started competing, there was no USADA. It was a new thing. And, in fact, I was actually thinking about it the other day. When I first competed in the Olympics in Sydney, Australia, my race was 2 days before October 1st, 2000. So I feel like I have this connection to USADA. We were like born at the same time. I became an Olympian, USADA was born. But before USADA, there really wasn't much out there in terms of anti-doping efforts, either in the US or globally. And I think a lot of athletes were, they were kind of frustrated by that. When USADA started, even, it was mainly a urine collection agency. I mean, that's really, initially at least, what we were doing. But since then, we've really stepped up. USADA has stepped up and taken on a huge leadership role, both globally and domestically. And we've been a beacon for clean sport. For 20 years, we've been expanding our mission and serving athletes, national governing bodies, anti-doping communities, around the world. We've been recognized for innovative work in anti-doping research, science, technology, education. And USADA has been willing to step into the ring against any opponent in the fight for clean sport. And time and again, we've prevailed, which is really a legacy that I think the organization should be very proud of.
That's awesome. So over those 20 years, what do you think are some of the most important milestones when it comes to USADA serving athletes in clean sport?
Yeah, well, I think USADA is, perhaps best known for its, very public legal battle with Lance Armstrong and the U.S. Postal Service, the cycling team. But it was a fight that demonstrated USADA's willingness to take on even the biggest names in sports and level the playing field for clean athletes. And I think that's the kind of milestone that gave and continues to give athletes the confidence to come forward and testify in other cases. In the past 20 years, USADA developed some really innovative tools to help athletes, to help clean sport. I kind of get most excited, all that's great, but I get most excited about like one of our most recent programs, True Sport, which is like a really ambitious educational platform that seeks to change the culture of youth sport in America by teaching really important life lessons that I think most parents, when they get their kids into sports, one of the reasons we do that is because we want our kids to learn about respect and teamwork and the value of clean and healthy competition. We talk about ambitious, change the culture of youth sport. Go for it. It's awesome. So yeah, there's just so much that USADA has done in the last 20 years, expanding partnerships with Major League Baseball, the NFL, it just, the list goes on.
Awesome. So as you consider the next 10 years, what do you think are a couple of USADA's biggest challenges, both nationally and internationally?
Yeah, well, the anti-doping fight for clean sports is always challenged because we're playing catch up with larger budget for sports. It's always been one of those core challenges for us. The budget for global sports is, it's in the billions of dollars. And the global anti-doping budget is maybe 0.1% of that. More money for testing, research, education, all of that I think would go a long way toward leveling the playing field for clean athletes around the world. But internationally, I think one of our challenges, and really it's also an opportunity, is to continue supporting and collaborating with our anti-doping partners. And, if we need to, guiding them towards a more independent governance model that eliminates conflicts of interest.
Perfect. So speaking of opportunities, what are some of the other opportunities coming down the pipeline?
Oh, wow. I get excited talking about opportunities for USADA. I just think there's so many. The first, hopefully the most immediate opportunity is responding to the post-COVID-19 sports landscape. I mean, obviously this year sport has changed dramatically. But if we're going to keep up and continue to lead, I think USADA really has a chance to set the agenda and even influence what sport looks like in the future. It's right there in our mission. We want to build a culture of clean and healthy competition within competitive sport. And I think for a lot of people, post-COVID, when we get there, and hopefully it's soon, is going to be a chance to kind of refresh, reset what it looks like to be an athlete, what it looks like to be, a sport, both domestically and globally. Other opportunities, well, the 2028 Olympics, can't forget those, coming up to Los Angeles right here. And I'm in Southern California too, so I get excited. But we have a chance to shape the way that our country, even the world, views the role of sports in society. I think that's one of the beautiful things about the Olympics, about being an Olympian, is that you get to shape the vision of what sports looks like. And whether that for USADA is through our True Sport education platform, or collaborations with different partners, organizations. I mean, obviously that's, a huge task, but it's a huge opportunity. And I think we can show the world what integrity, respect, and teamwork in sports look like, and maybe influence the rest of the world too. USADA has continued to serve the Olympic sports community, but we also have opportunities to expand our mission into other sports. In 2015, USADA started working with the UFC in response to athletes. Their athletes came to us and said, hey, can you help us make this sport safer and cleaner? And the response has been great. And now we're really excited. There's an opportunity, legislation in Washington, D.C., we'll see what happens there, for us to help the horse racing industry, to help make that sport safer for both the horses and the jockeys. And that's really exciting.
Very nice. So protecting clean sport is kind of a all hands on deck effort. So what can athletes competing in elite sport do to stand up for a level playing field?
It's not that we ask too much of our athletes already, right? Just go out there and perform at your best. Athletes can be brave. They can be courageous when they talk about the need for clean sports. And many of them are doing that. Many of them are already recognizing the power of their collective voices. They're speaking out about injustices, both in the sports world and at society at large. Athletes like Christian Taylor and Emma Coburn have participated in USADA's Project Believe. Other athletes, Alyssa Montano, Kara Goucher, are leading a generation of, we call them whistleblowers, but they're really truth tellers. I mean, they're giving voice to injustices that they see in the current system. And as a former athlete, I say continue to be vocal, continue to be outspoken. Continue to be great role models for ethical and clean sport. I mean, is it too much to ask to speak truth to power? Athletes are doing it every day. They're shaping the type of sporting world that young athletes, parents, and fans want to participate in. Together, I think we can change the sports landscape into a place that celebrates fair play, celebrates teamwork, celebrates respect. And that's why most parents, that's why even a lot of fans appreciate sports. That's why parents get their kids into sports, is so that we can transform the world and make it a better place. If USADA gets another 20 years to help with that mission, awesome. I'm all behind it.
Well, that is all that we have time for today. But Philip, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts.
You are welcome. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. And thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Pitch.